everyone to today's webinar. I'm so excited to be joined by Jeremy Olson and Kristin Isaacson from Roleplay at the Olson Agency. Jeremy and Kristin both bring over 20 years of sales experience to this presentation, and they are here to help us overcome one of the most common objections in the insurance industry, which is, I didn't request a quote, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. We also have with us today two Quote Wizard account managers, Jeremy Brown and Dustin Fletcher. Those names might be kind of familiar to some of you.
Elite
They're here
account.
to help us out with some role plays. Both help manage our elite agent team, and Jeremy Olson and Kristin thought it'd be fun to have them run through some scenarios. So like Kristin said, any questions throughout the webinar, please put them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and we will address them at the end. So with that, I will pass it to Jeremy and Kristin to get us started.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Kelsey. Yeah, and we probably know many of you, but our style is we like to be very interactive. So for sure, during the presentation, chat away, chime in. We're happy to answer any questions. But yeah, my name is Jeremy, like Kelsey said. I'm an Allstate agent out here in Seattle. I've been an agent for about 25 years. And the thing is, my first 23 years, I literally did not buy leads. Just didn't need to. We wrote a lot of policies without them. And then I was given my company goals a couple years ago. They were very high. And so 2 years later, we've added a whole outbound team where they just work leads. I think we have 11 on that team. We spend about $50,000 a month in internet leads right now. And the neat thing is, thanks to what Kristin will tell you about her role, we really work a lot on just how to talk to these, how to talk to people. And it's made all the difference in the world with what we're going to show you today, just one of the many things. But our close rate with internet leads, and believe me, my team loves Quote Wizard, but we're up to 16% on internet leads. And when I tell people that, they usually fall over because that is 4 or 5 times higher than what we hear. And it really does come down to that daily practice. My team and I and Kristin, we work on objections and closing literally every day. We've already had a whole role play session today. So we're excited to be here. We appreciate it. And like we said, any questions throughout, ask away. Kristin, if you want to kind of share your role, what you do on the team.
Awesome. And I just noticed that there's someone from the Philippines here. So welcome. That is probably the furthest that we've had. That's awesome. So my name is Kristin Isaacson. And like Jeremy said, I work with the team just to help them get better at improving their soft skills so that they can close more sales. I mean, that's the bottom line, is we all want to be better at how we communicate in order to close more sales. With our agency, we are very intentional about making sure that we open up the conversation, not just to quote on price, but to actually talk about their insurance and what best protects them now and in the future. So that's you'll see a lot of that in our talk paths, where we're shifting away from the consumer mindset where they're immediately thinking, what's it going to cost me, to opening up the conversation. So that's super important to us. My background, like Kelsey says, is in sales and in professional development. So I am certified to teach for a company called Dale Carnegie Training. If you've never heard of Dale Carnegie, check them out. They're a company that has literally made all the difference in my career. I started working for them about 12 years ago, and met Jeremy actually when I was working at Dale Carnegie and was doing some one-on-one coaching with his team. And he lured me over to the dark side to work with his team full time. And I still teach for Dale Carnegie avocationally when I can, because I so believe in what they do and helping people really just communicate effectively, build self-confidence. And what I always say is just build that authenticity. So the more authentic we are, the more confident that we are. And we're going to show you how today in this role play, we can be really agile. So with role play is all about practice. It's not about perfection. And I think a lot of times people shy away from role play because they've had a bad experience, maybe with maybe a boss cutting them down, saying, I wouldn't buy from you, try again, not good enough, try again. And they put them on the spot and made them feel silly. We try to have fun with role play, and we try to build confidence with role play. And we're super lucky that Jeremy and Dustin have volunteered to be what we call our role play victims. And so they're what we call willing victims, and they're willing to be coached today. There's always something. If Jeremy and I were the willing victims, we would have to be willing to be coached too, because there's always a way that we can get better with something. So we'll show you how we do that. And if you think about it, role play and practice, it's like being on a sports team. So if, say, a football player was to show up and they met their coach on Sunday and they said, "Coach, I'm ready for the game, but I didn't practice all week because I'm really good at what I do."
Yeah, no, and I would say, and I know many agency owners out there can relate, but I was that agency owner before I brought Kristin on board, that I had not role played a single time in my agency. I would never do it. I would tell them it didn't work. I wouldn't put my team through that. And so it's very ironic that, 7 years later, here I am hosting a role play show, because it's everything against what I used to do. I just didn't believe in it. I was uncomfortable with it. One of the very first things when I hired Kristin, she said, "I'd love to interview or introduce role play into your agency." I turned the other way and ran and said, "Absolutely not." But she insisted. She has great sales skills and convinced me to do it. And I would honestly say there has not been anything more impactful in my agency than role play. And of course, leads are super important too. But if we didn't have the talk paths and the scripts and the ability to communicate with our customers, it would all mean nothing. And, I look back and I literally can't believe I ever led my team without role play, because it is, like Kristin said, it is practice. That's like telling your team, "You guys are good, just go do it. You don't even need to practice." So we really both speak from our heart about role play and have such a passion for it, because we see what it does for our agency. And that's why we created this platform, was because I wanted to be able to share the same experience that we have in our agency. It's made all the difference.
Yeah. So everybody's going to tell you, I'm not a script person. Everybody's going to tell you, I sound better on the phones and in person. Everybody's going to tell you, I don't want to do this and it's making me feel uncomfortable. So that's good. I always say that's good. You're in the right place if that's the way you feel. And so we'll show you how we do this. Really, I think the biggest thing with team members is just to know why. So we'll give you a little tutorial on why we think this script works for I didn't request a quote, and then Jeremy and Dustin will show you how it's done.
Yeah, and so what we're going to do is walk through the exact same way that we do our webinars. We do one every single Tuesday of the year, 52 weeks a year. We're just going to do it exactly the same, so you can kind of see what it's like. So with that, we will get into, we always have a slideshow that we start with. So again, today's topic is probably the most popular thing that we hear in leads at the beginning, when they just say, "Yeah, I just didn't request a quote." So first, we thought we would start with some of the responses that we hear from our team members, because for sure, this one can catch people off guard. They're all excited. They get on the dialer, they're calling out, ready to do all these quotes, and they're met with that, "I didn't request a quote." So we spend a lot of times listening to calls live and recorded. And these are some of the actual responses that we hear from our own team members. First one is just, they literally don't know what to say. So when you start with that, your odds of getting to a quote are probably next to none.
Yeah. And that's why you have to do role play, because you have to be agile with your response, because a lot of times, if you're not, you immediately back out and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can take you off our list." That's not the way we should be responding to these.
Yeah, next one that we hear a lot is, "Oh, really, Kristin? My system sure says that you did." And instantly you're kind of calling that person out, saying they're wrong. And that is never going to lead to you being successful. So don't tell them they're wrong.
Yeah. And your system is not a person. So I would say take system out of your language too for anything. I hear that a lot. The next one, people will say, "Oh, that's not good." By that time, the prospect's already hung up. So we just cannot hesitate. With this one, we have to be super quick. So we're wondering, and we always ask ourselves, because we're trying to see things from our angle and from their angle in order to get some perspective on, why we would be really intentional about how to respond to this. So why do you think prospects say, "I didn't request a quote"?
Yeah, before we even get into that, I'd be curious with Dustin, Jeremy, or Kelsey, why do you think people would say this?
So it's funny, we actually, as we get leads returned for credit, we have a team that will call that consumer directly and try to get that answer specifically. And typically the answer is usually the consumer's just overwhelmed with phone calls and they're just trying to say what they have to get off the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because they're tired of getting calls. It's just a way to brush off because they've just got off the call from 4 other agents contacting them. They figure, hey, if I just tell them I didn't request it, they'll let me go. So we've got to, understand and again, put ourselves in their shoes so we know how to overcome these things.
Sometimes, and this is kind of interesting, even if they filled out the form, because the forms usually are pretty extensive, but they really didn't know what they signed up for. Sometimes people just, I don't know, they're eternal yesers or something, and they'll just fill something out and then they didn't realize that they were going to be getting so many calls. So they really just didn't know what they were signing up for.
Yeah, a lot of times they think, oh, if I just hit this
online,
button, it's
yep.
just going to spit out a number. I don't need to tell them any information. So they just didn't get what they were signing up for. Or they could be an old lead, an age lead, and they really just don't remember. Maybe it was 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and they just kind of forgot.
So here's the deal, guys. This is really funny because all of those things really are just excuses. And the bottom line is that it really just absolutely does not matter. I always say every lead is a good lead. And if we're thinking like, why are they thinking this? And, we'll use it as excuses. So we don't want to use it as an excuse. What we want to have is a strategy to feel comfortable talking to them and make them feel at ease talking to us and just build trust.
Yeah, and that's what practicing every day and role playing does. We have one goal on every one of our leads calls, regardless of what they say at the beginning. I mean, there's a million of these that we have. They might say, oh, I just wanted it in an email. I just wanted you to text me, right? Whatever it is, we have one goal with every one of these calls. And that's to get at the end point where we've walked through a whole proposal with them. We've given them a rate and we close their business. That's the same on every single call. So it's all about the path and how we get there.
So the first thing is that this is not a big deal. It is no big deal if they say I didn't request a quote. I think that's the first thing is we're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And some of that is inexperience too. But as we get experienced, most of the things that we encounter with hesitations and objections, if you can just think this is no big deal, that will make a huge difference in the way that your voice even sounds.
Yeah, next point, and we'll actually play a video here in a second that will demonstrate this, but treat them like, and you really have to believe this, like, man, it's their lucky day that they're able to talk to me because I believe in insurance, I believe in protecting people, and they're lucky to have us as their advisor to walk them through that. So you really have to believe that and get them to believe that, oh, this guy is worth me taking a few minutes and going through it.
And then go straight into confirming the details. So as quickly as we can do that, they feel like they're getting what they signed up for, and we're getting some details to make sure that they qualify to be with us. So we're going to give you an example of what this might sound like on the phone. We have a guy named Miles on our team. He's super great at talking to, he was probably one of the first ones that we put on talking to leads and just absolutely loves them. He's the one who just says, I love Quote Wizard leads, give me all of them.
Yeah.
He feels like he has 100% close ratio on him. So that is,
yeah, and
great for you guys.
Miles started on my team. He's been on my team for 6 years now. We have probably almost let him go a half a dozen times because his performance was so low those early years.
Mm-hmm.
He would literally write 10 policies a month and he just couldn't get through it. And all of a sudden it just, in combination with Kristin coming on board and me just really getting engaged with role play and practicing, he just fell in love with that and memorizing scripts. And he's just one of the best now. He very rarely will leave the month without 60 or 70 policies sold. And so we just thought we would play this quick video so you could kind of see what the difference sounds like.
He's a little theatrical too, so we like having him do videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Joe, not a problem. Thank you so much for your time. You too. Bye. Man, It is just not working out for me today. I've been making calls all day long, and it just feels like every single person says they didn't request a quote. And they're not staying on the phone. I don't know what to do. I'm starting to lose my mind here. I need to change this up. I think I got an idea. I think what I need to do is make it no big deal. Make it feel like it's their lucky day to be talking to me, and you just go straight into confirming details. I think that'll work. Let's check this out. Hey, is this Brian? Hey, Brian, good morning. This is Miles with Allstate Insurance. How's it going today? Fantastic. Hey, Brian, I was just giving you a quick call. I saw you were doing some research there on your auto insurance. I was actually just going to run some numbers by you today. Oh, you didn't? No problem. Hey, you know what? We do hear that from time to time. Hey, maybe you were doing some research on your insurance in the past or online or something like that? No? Hey, you know, whatever the reason is, I'm curious. When was the last time you did take a look at your insurance? Yep. Hey, I hear that all the time. You know what, Brian, I always recommend that you review your insurance at least once a year to make sure you're getting the best discounts and the coverage. And you know, since I have you on the phone, hey, let's just see if it might make sense to at least see what we could do for you. What kind of car are you driving these days? Awesome. Can I put you on a quick hold? Thanks. Oh my gosh, it worked. This is fantastic. Hey, thanks, Brian. Yeah.
What do you think? First of all, I'd just be curious from Kelsey and Dustin and Jeremy, what do you think of that talk path, just hearing Miles talk?
I thought that was excellent. Just diving right in and just, almost being, relatable to them, understanding like, hey, we get this a bunch. Like, let me be an advocate for you. Let me help you, and just really relate to that customer.
Mm-hmm. And just being super articulate about it too, because we can dance around almost too much when someone asks or says this, and then we can actually talk ourselves right out of having a quote too, right? Yep. So it helps us empathize, but not spend too much time in that area. So are you guys willing to role play this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So what we'll do with the first one, let's put it up on the screen. And then Kelsey, I want you to be listening for the advisor. I'll ask you like what your thoughts are, what like the advisor role did, what you liked about what they did after we're done. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So you're going to be listening for the advisor role. And let's see, who wants to be the advisor first, Jeremy or Dustin?
Jeremy's a stand-up comic, so.
I'm on it.
Okay, so the way that it works is we just have you just start the role play, and then sometimes I have this way of interrupting, and it's not to be rude, but it's called coaching in the moment. So if I hear something that maybe we could tweak to be better and we could get a different result that might be more positive, then we'll stop and try it again. Is that fair?
Yeah.
That was great.
Okay.
Keep it up or take it down.
With the first one, let's keep it up. So if you're out there and you want to take a screenshot of this, we'll also give Kelsey the script afterwards so she can email it out to you. But if you want to take a screenshot, if you guys are taking these leads today, go ahead and do that. So we'll keep the script up the first time around. The second time around, we'll take it down. Okay. So with that, it looks like the prospect is starting.
Hey, I didn't request a quote.
No problem. We do hear that from time to time. Maybe you were researching insurance in the past or online or something like that.
What? No, I don't remember doing that.
Whatever the reason is, I'm curious. When was the last time that you did take a look at your insurance?
Oh, heck, I don't know. It's been a while.
That's also something I hear all the time. But we always recommend you review your insurance at least once a year to make sure you're getting the best discounts and coverage that's out there. Since I have you on the phone, let's just see if it makes sense to at least see what you could do, see what we could do for you. What kind of car do you drive?
Oh, I got this really nice 2017 Acura. Yeah.
Ooh, man, that takes me back to Fast and the Furious 2002. I love it. Let's see. Oof.
Okay, Jeremy, let's stop right there. So what we had continued to confirm details and quote, we actually have like all these processes on our platform where you can follow a process. And so We have a process called the flow of the auto quote. And so that's why we put that on there, because we want people to know where to add this. So really quick, Kelsey, what did you like about what Jeremy did?
Well, he kept the conversation really energized too. He wasn't like, oh, well, we recommend blah, blah, blah. He's like, no problem, let's do this.
Go on.
Too, I liked how he, instead of saying like, we always recommend double checking to make sure you have the best policy, he specifically mentioned like discounts and best value. So you're really driving home like, okay, like no one's going to listen to that and be like, no, I don't want a discount or, a better value. So
yep,
really just driving home how much you can get by just taking a look at your quote and seeing if you have the best one.
Yeah. And he has a great tone of voice. So that's everything. When people are first talking to someone, is the first thing they're doing, their first impression is listening to your tone of voice. You sound super friendly. Obviously, you have a lot of confidence. And my belief is that there's always something that we can work on. And, this is your first go around on the script too. So obviously you've read a lot of scripts and you know what you're doing. What I would like to hear a little bit different, Jeremy, is in that last paragraph, if you could slow down a little bit, because that since I have you on the phone, that's like kind of the important part of that. Like you pause right there and just go, it's kind of like no big deal. Well, gosh, since you are on the phone, why don't we do this? So have more of that swagger in your voice and slow down. And let's see if Dustin can hear the difference this time. So Dustin, just say, I don't know. It's been a while.
Oh gosh, I don't know. It's been a while.
That's also something I hear all the time. We always recommend that you review your insurance at least once a year just to make sure you're getting the best discounts and coverage. Since I have you on the phone, let's just see if it makes sense to at least see what we can do for you. What do you drive?
What's the difference, Dustin?
I mean, I feel like he's engaged. I feel like, like, hey, since I got you on the phone, since you're here, maybe I can save you some money. Maybe he's trying to advocate for me almost.
Yep. And what about slowing down? Did you notice a difference in what you heard the second time around, like it being a little bit more personal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So a lot of times what we do is we try to rush what we're saying. And I'm sure to Jeremy, you probably thought that sounded really slow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but it doesn't. We trip over our words when we try to talk too fast and we slur them together, and the prospect does not get the full effect. So when you're really trying to add meaning, slow down. So with that, we are going to switch, and it looks like we have a couple of questions. One is, do you recommend leaving voicemails if you're unable to reach day one? With voicemails, it probably depends. Like in our agency, we have so many people. Leaving voicemails doesn't make a ton of sense with how many leads that they're talking to every single day. So if they are still in day one, we let them go through the rotation in our lead management system, like the phone system that we have will take care of that. I would say if you're in an office where there's maybe one or two people, I think voicemails would be a good idea, actually. And the voicemails should be super short, though, because if you are leaving long voicemails, for one thing, like think about every single person you call, that takes up a lot of time, and it actually can take up time from getting to another quote. But if you leave a really quick voicemail that just says, really super friendly, hey, this is Kristin. I'm calling about your insurance quote that you requested. Give me a call back at 123-123-1234. And you just say it super slow, super friendly. It takes like 10 seconds. That's okay. But don't get caught up in the voicemail trap of, using it as a crutch. And then you end up wasting time and you don't get to all your leads.
Yeah, and we'll get to the questions. I see one on what's your whole process. We'll be happy to cover that. But if we want to flip it around now, just so we can get the role play underway.
Okay, Dustin, you are going to be the advisor this time, and Jeremy is the prospect.
I didn't request a quote.
Hey, no problem. We do hear this from time to time. Maybe you were researching insurance in the past or something like that?
No, I don't remember doing that.
Okay, let's stop really quick. You guys, this is what I want to hear. How about, because you are so funny and you're playing off of each other's facial expressions, but we don't have facial expressions on the phone, right? So let's take your video off. So just get the video off and let's see, Kelsey, you're going to be the judge if you can hear a difference this time around.
Just hit stop video, bottom left. There we
Okay,
go.
go ahead, Jeremy.
I didn't request a quote.
Hey, no problem. We do hear this from time to time. Maybe you were researching insurance in the past or online or something like that?
No, I don't remember doing that.
Oh, well, whatever the reason is, I'm curious. When was the last time you did take a look at your insurance?
I don't know. It's been a while.
That's also something we hear all the time. We always recommend that you review your insurance at least once a year to make sure that you're getting the
Justin.
discounts.
So how about try this? Just in order to add a little personality into this, and we're not seeing you, but we'll hear it. Smile awkwardly big while you're talking, like you've just laughed super hard at one of my really good jokes.
All right.
Okay. Okay, keep on going, just where you're at.
All right, I'll take that last line again.
Okay.
Also, something I hear all the time. We're always recommend that you review your insurance at least once a year to make sure you're getting the best discounts and coverage. Since I have you on the phone, let's see if there might be something that makes sense to at least see what we could do for you. What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a 2017 Acura RDX.
Okay, let's stop right there. Kelsey, did you hear the difference when he smiled?
Absolutely. I feel
Yeah.
like he was also convincing himself to be more energetic by smiling.
Yeah.
So he really sold it.
Yeah, and I love hearing it like when you don't see people's faces, you know, on the role play, because we don't have that on the phones. But if you think about it, we can do anything. We can stand up in power stance. We can do really huge, like obnoxious smiles. The smiling changes our tone of voice big time. I could tell that he had more intonation. One of the things that I was hearing, Dustin, is that you were a little bit flat with your tonation when you were reading the script. So you were too much concentrating on that. It changes everything. And by the way, fun fact, that is my car, that really super duper 2017 Acura RDX, Jeremy.
I'm telling you, it is sweet.
Come back on.
Yeah, fast and furious. So, okay, you guys can come back on.
You know, you made a great point there with the click the wrong button.
There you go.
With the laughing.
Yeah.
I used to do this before I would answer the phone at Quote Wizard. If when I was working in a different department and I knew I was dealing with some upset agents, I would always start laughing before I answered the phone. And just start laughing before I clicked answer. And it made just such a huge difference.
Yeah,
Dustin's playing it down, but for years he was our sole rep in charge of retention. So he handled upset agents with quality issues for years. So yeah, it was a big part of his process to make sure that he was in a good place when he picked up the phone.
And you know what that was, is a coping skill for him. And that's just such a great tip. Yeah, laugh really hard. We do these fake 30-second laughs in our agency where we literally, like, I will time it for 30 seconds and we will just be laughing like, ha, 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 ha. And I mean, pretty soon everybody's laughing and you get on the phones. And if you have that smile on your voice or you have that memory of something happy, we can't think like humans it's not possible for us to experience two different emotions at once. And so sometimes that just changes your brain chemistry to where you're actually in the mood to talk to people. I mean, we've got lots of things going on, you know, ups and downs in our personal life and even our professional lives. And we can't let that affect or have an impact on what we're doing when we're talking to prospects and customers. So some of these coping skills, like we're talking about, even though they seem very trivial, are ginormous in the impact that they can make in our results.
As the prospect, I would say the second time with the awkward smile phase was way more engaging for me.
Way more. Yep. Way more. Dustin, you were boring at first. My goodness. Okay.
Let's put it. We'll put the script back up for you guys. A lot of times people like to just take a picture with their camera, but like we said, we'll get it to Kelsey so she can also email it out at some point.
Okay, so what do you think, like Kelsey, if people were to just take one script like this with one objection, what do you think the impact that it could have on what they do every single day with Quote Wizard leads?
Oh, I mean, it would have such an exponential impact. Like that would probably be one of the most common objections that I hear from our lead buyers is like, oh, they said they didn't request a quote. So if they can just overcome even half of those, I mean, my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yep. And so this is all about increasing our batting average. We take a deep dive on all different kinds of topics, and we role play them all the time. We've done power questions. We've done, I need to talk to my spouse. I'm not interested. Send that to me in an email. What was last week's? What did we have? We just did it yesterday.
Yesterday, boy,
Live
these
leads.
things
We did live
we did
transfers.
how to answer live transfers. So we like to do very specific things that come up in our agency. Did you want to share those or?
Sure, yeah.
First, I was also just going to mention any of you, we do have a totally free Facebook group. Any of you that want to join it, it's just called Role Play at the Olson Agency. Request access, we'll get you in there, totally free. We do a lot of these just spur of the moment role plays with our staff. We'll post little tips and things that have worked in our agency, but we have a great community. And then Kristin is just going to run through, we'll take like 2 minutes and then we're going to get to all your questions on how we work leads, or maybe you have some questions for these guys at Quote Wizard. We'll just stay on as long as you like. But yeah, as we mentioned, we have a platform designed all around role play, and it comes with actually 5 different pieces. Take it away, super quick.
Yeah, so this developed over time. We first started with just the live role play webinars that we do once a week at 3 p.m. Eastern. And you can see some of the topics that we have there. I want to shop around, handling irate customers. I need to talk to my spouse. So many more. We have probably over close to 100 in there now at this point. Those are 30 minutes. And the cool thing is that the topics are all chosen by our members. And so we throw up a poll at the end of the 30 minutes and we give you like 4 different topics and you get to vote on it. So that's kind of exciting. People absolutely love doing that. And it's driven by what people are really wanting to see.
And those are all, we don't have it on this screen, but those are all put in a library immediately after. So like Kristin says, we have about 100 episodes. Great way to onboard new team members. We use this when we hire somebody, we send them away and they watch every one of them and they come back like they've been in insurance for 2 years after a week.
Yep. And we have a workshop that we developed, over time. We got so many questions. So we call it How to Run Your Agency. And we really just go through our experience since I've been here in the last 6 years on how we've kind of transformed our agency from being really selling about 350 to 400 policies a month to now we're over 900, which is very, very exciting. And we do attribute a lot of this to the role play, but a lot of this to some of our systems and processes that we have improved over the last 6 years. So we'll go over recruiting, hiring, onboarding, training, coaching, expectations. We do a little bit of coach the coach with agency owners, which is super fun. But that is 4 weeks. It's 90-minute sessions once a week for 4 weeks. It's not recorded and put on the platform. It's live, and it's something that we want to keep very real. Our agencies are constantly changing, and we also want to give people that autonomy to talk about and ask some questions that maybe other people, they wouldn't want to have other people hear about. So next, we have a guest speaker series. This was something we don't do live events, but we love when live events have guest speakers. And so we have really well-known guest speakers come in and talk for an hour, 8 times a year on the months that we're not doing the agency workshop. So we've had people like Janine Driver, Christian Conti, Jerry Acuff. They're all well-known speakers that we think are relevant to help us be better in what we do. And then the last, and this one's probably one of my favorite things at this point, is we do a live Q&A with Jeremy and I every single week on Tuesday at 4:30 Eastern. And it's just an open forum. It's super casual. We have a lot of people that come in every single week, and they've really built a support group in that. So it really, you can ask any question to us that you want. If you guys are interested in just checking us out for free, we have a 7-day free trial, and we'll give Kelsey this link as well. So if you want to check us out for free, I would say try us out. Like if you sign up today, you'll get next week's webinar and so much more. You can come on the Q&A and all of that. So we'd love to have you.
Yeah, and actually, I think Maggie on our team will drop that in the, yeah, she did. There's a direct link, so you don't have to write that down. And with that, yeah, any questions that you guys have, we're certainly here to answer them. Let's see what we've got. How do you handle it when most of the info on the quote request has mostly wrong information and only the correct things? Oh, we actually talked a lot about that yesterday.
Yeah,
What would
it's
your
no
advice
big
be
deal.
on that?
Yeah, I think that we position these as we'll, give them like an agenda of what you're going to be working with them. So I might say something like, Kelsey, so what I'll do is I'll just make sure that I confirm all the details that that I see here, just to make sure that I can get you an accurate quote. And then I just go into confirming some of the details. It looks like your name is spelled Kelsy. Is that correct?
She would say no.
She would say no. Oh, that's awesome. I like, that's exactly why I ask these questions, is just so I can make, the most important thing, your name, like we got to make sure that that's spelled right. So I got that corrected. And then I just go into the next one. It looks like you're driving a 2017 Acura RDX.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. And so we'll just keep on going through them, and then we'll add some little rapport in between there. So it's a great way of building rapport. It's no big deal.
What's your process? Do you call right away? Do you text? Do you email? At my company, we can't text, so we do not text. If you can, I would certainly recommend it. But absolutely, we call right away. One of the first tips we always talk about with leads is don't just dabble. You either have to be in or out. The agents that I hear that, are not super successful with these, they will just, I'll take a few $100s worth this week. I'll try it. And then they take a few months off. You got to be committed. Leads absolutely work if you commit to them and you master them and you just get good at them. That's why we're able to have a 16% close rate, because we work on them every single day. We buy a lot. And I totally understand it's an expense. Again, I spent 0 2 years ago, and now I'm about 50,000 a month, because we've seen it pay off and it works. But if we would have just tried it here and there, we would never be there. So we call them immediately. And that would be the second tip. Have a great lead manager. You have to have a great lead manager. The days of just writing down your leads on a piece of paper or an Excel spreadsheet doesn't work. The lead systems out there work great. They time it. We use Ricochet in my team. We love it. But it will call for you. It tells you exactly when. We call 2 times the first hour, I believe it is.
Yep. 3 times in the first day, and then it goes into a cadence that the system takes care of it. So I don't have all that information right here, but after 5 days, then it goes into another cadence. So usually we can get a hold of them within that first 5 days, but then it goes into another cadence where people are constantly calling them. One thing I would never do is give up. Don't ever give up on a lead, no matter how old they get. There always should be in your pipeline. I love the question. I really am busy and I don't have time to talk. I love that one. And I'll give you a quick tip on that. What I tell all of our team members is do not let those go. Do not say the response is not when's a better time to call, and you just let them go. What you want to say is absolutely, well, really quick, let me confirm a couple of details just to make sure it makes sense to give you a call back. And confirm like maybe 3 or 4 details in the most pleasant way, so that you are, and then set up like your personal brand one. Look, it sounds like you're a really good fit for our company. So let's talk does 3 o'clock in the afternoon works? I'll set a meeting request and we'll be really intentional with your time. Sound good? So set yourself apart as a business professional, and don't let someone tell you that maybe they really are busy, but be really quick with them and call them back, but be intentional with why you're calling them back.
Do you typically call back clients who immediately hang up the phone? Absolutely.
Yeah, we love those.
And that's just kind of our style. You can see we like to have fun with our team. We like to have fun with prospects and customers. So we will just call them immediately back, and we just kind of act like, oh, that must have been a mistake. I'm so sorry. We must have got disconnected. And if you show them that, that you have a personality, that you would be someone they would want to talk to, a lot of times they'll stay on the phone with you. They're used to people just being operators and very transactional. You've got to practice and be a person and let your personality come out. that's where you'll see success with these.
Yeah. And can I just say, my number one tip for leads is don't take anything personally ever. This is not about you. It's not about you. And I think that sometimes we make it about us, like they hung up on me. They didn't hang up on you. Like they don't even know you. And maybe that was legit, like something cut off or their cell phone stopped, but don't assume the worst, assume the best, and assume like, oh my gosh, like they haven't even had a chance to meet me yet. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like just be real positive about it.
Mm-hmm. What do we got next?
How do you handle people asking, why are you calling them 100 times a day? Well, I don't think we have a lot of.
We wouldn't call them 100 times a day. We do it 3 times the first day, and then we have a very specific pattern. But we'll call them forever. It slows down a little bit after 5 days. I have a lead person on my team that manages the whole system. It works for us. We're always tweaking it and changing it. But we would never call somebody 100 times a day. 3 is the max. And
it might be that they're mistaking like that if you're sending out a lead, that there's other companies that are giving them a call too.
Oh, Scott says, they are getting a lot of calls, not just you personally.
Yeah.
That's funny. We actually have a role play in our library where they
all
say,
of these are role plays.
No, thanks. You're the 5th agent to call me today. We actually have a whole role play on that. And again, it's just getting them to open the door and be open to talk to you. But we close a lot of those.
Yep. And a lot of times we just have to understand, walk right beside them and understand how that feels. But yeah, we have a whole role play for that. Most of the topics, a lot of the questions that you guys are asking, there was one up at the top there that I think was another role play that we had. Let's see. Really don't have time to talk. How about when they say, I'm good with my insurance? We have that one too.
We have that one too.
Yep. So there's all of those are role plays that we actually have. So I'm glad that you guys are asking that, because it sounds like the 7-day free trial might be good, that you can go in there and dig in and see those scripts, and you can literally go in our library and just type in that like objection and it'll come up.
What type of leads do you prefer? For example, auto home, overnight leads, live transfers. We're always tweaking things. We like a little bit of each. Something that specifically I do with my team, and it's more for the mental side of things. Working leads is hard work. It is hard work. I would not want to be dialing like some of these guys do all day long. It is tough. And so we got to know that we don't want to burn our people out. So what we do with our team is we flip-flop each day. So Monday, they work live transfers. Tuesday, they work traditional quote wizard leads, the traditional ones. Then Wednesday, live transfers. Thursday, traditional leads. It flip-flops every day. And that is, again, for the mental. And what we have found to make somebody successful working leads is they need to have between 12 and 15 new leads per day. That's another thing that I see a lot of agents do. We'll just try it. We'll give you a couple here, a couple there. For them to get good at these, they got to have volume. And so that's what we have found that works for us. Magic number is 12 to 15, whether it's the live transfers or whether it is the traditional internet leads. But they got to have volume to get good at it and to close the amount of business that you want them to.
And then it looks like Enza's asking where the library link is located. So if you sign up for the free trial, you'll automatically be able to see the library and the videos and the scripts. The scripts are downloadable from our library. We will give this script and this video to Kelsey, and she will send that out to you guys.
Yeah,
so we'll create a video.
Maggie, if you're still on, Maggie, if you don't mind posting that trial link again, because that's not on our website. It's something that we created for this. So 7-day free trial is unique. If Maggie is on, she will post it again. We've got, in addition to calling, do you text and email the quote? Again, we don't quote or we don't text just because it's with my company that I represent. We're not supposed to unless it's through an approved texting platform, which just isn't going to work with our lead volume and manager. So we've just opted not to text. We are very compliant. Compliance is everything to us. There's a 7-day.
Yeah, there's no promo code for the 7-day free trial. You just go to the link.
Go to that link that Maggie
and it's just a landing
posted.
page for the 7-day free trial. Yep.
Let's see here.
Quote Wizard sells their leads as real time, and many times they're not. There are many times leads say that they don't have a car anymore, or they're not been shopping in the last 6 months. Why don't you guys go ahead, Jeremy or Dustin or Kelsey, you can talk to that one.
Yeah, I can address it. So this is actually common within any lead generation company. Unfortunately, no company is able to source the amount of leads necessary to provide the volume necessary to our clients. So some fraction of our leads come from reputable third-party marketing sources. And so those leads can sometimes be aged. We're hoping that they're not, but sometimes they are. Ones that come directly from Quote Wizard's website are never aged. But that being said, we do keep constant track of which third-party companies are providing the best leads. So if we do have one that's consistently providing us with aged leads, we cut ties with them. So if that person no longer has a car, and that can be confirmed, then obviously we're going to give you credit for that lead. Like, you just can't make business on that lead. So, but yeah, any other situation, let us know, because like I said, we want to know where that lead came from and make sure that that business partner isn't sending us consistently aged leads. I don't know if Jeremy and Dustin have more to say on that.
Just to emphasize, we would never make you pay for a lead like that. We do real-time leads. That's what we work in. So if you hear that, send it back. It goes through a review process where we contact that consumer directly to get to the bottom of what's going on, as well as an audit process for the particular source we generated it with. If it's too much of a trend, we'll cut that source out. But no matter what, we're not going to make you pay for that lead. Well, we'll get you refunded on that. But it goes back to the point we made at the beginning and Kelsey just made. Just please give us a call and let us know what's going on. That's because they are real time. That's the only way we know what's working and what's not, is if we hear from you guys. So please pick up the phone and let us know if you're running into that.
Yep.
All day. I mean, we understand that's going to happen from time to time, and we want to make sure that you're taken care of every time. So pick up the phone, give us a call, let us know. We're going to track that. We're going to find out where that's coming from, and we're going to start to highlight, like Kelsey said, to make sure that happens less and less for you. But we never want you to pay for it.
Sounds like the overarching theme is you guys have their back as long as they communicate with you.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yep. So love that. And if someone says stop calling and put me on your do not call list, my recommendation is stop calling and put them on your do not call list. Like, we don't want to be badgering people and saying, no, I'm still going to call you. So we have to respect people's human rights, and that is a human right to say, do not call me. Yep. What's a good way to recapture it if someone says your rates are higher, not interested anymore after sending them a quote? We actually have a role play for that too. I mean, what we recommend is these ones get into the sales process. So how have you qualified them up front? What's important to them when they're buying insurance? You know, if they have something like a ticket or an accident falling off their record in the future. Like, we just had someone in our office that he couldn't get it the first time around because the person had a claim on their record and it was too high. And he promised that he would follow up 6 months later, and he just got it. Just like right before we started this webinar, he came in our office and he's like, follow up works. And so I would always say that that's something that, know why you're putting someone in your pipeline, why you would be following up with them, and make sure that you're having a full conversation with them and you're not just quoting on price.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Not quoting on price. We find, and that is why our close rate is 16%, because when I decided to get into leads, I had heard all the same thing. They don't close as well. They don't retain. They're bad cut, all the same stuff. And I care about how my book is. I care about having good, solid customers who don't buy on price. And so I made it a point to, how can we take these lead people and make them not lead people? That's what we work on, is really how to talk to them the same way that we do our other customers. So we spend a lot of time up front. We're big believers that the more you get price out of the way up front, it's just not going to come up. Not never, but we sell policies all day long where they're $400 or $500 more a year. All day long, my people do that because they're so good at that front end of the conversation and how to not be transactional. What we find a lot on leads specifically is People will just say, read off to me what you got now. Okay, here's our rate for that. We never do that. We literally never quote a policy apples with apples 0 times a day in my office. We don't do it.
We actually have a role play for that too.
In 25 years, I've never sold a policy with the same coverages they called me with. It just doesn't make sense. That's putting you in the transactional mode and just making you an order taker. And I get it. A lot of people on leads say, these people, they filled this form out because they just want to quote. They just want to compare. That's our job as their advisor, is to get them out of that mindset. So we talk a lot about that with them up front.
Also, if you guys want to see a list of like our role plays, you can actually go just to www.insuranceroleplay.com. And there is an episode guide that you can just click on that, and you can see all of the role plays that we've done and all the topics. A lot of the questions you're asking.
How do you go around the apples to apples sales? We have a whole role play, how not to quote apples with apples.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really focus on the weekly show on making them very usable, specific things that come up in our agencies every day, like the apples to apples. We have one on what to say when somebody says, what does credit have to do with my insurance premium? We have very specific things that come up. We want people to be able to watch our show on Tuesday, walk away and use it 5 minutes later and be successful.
And the thing is that sometimes it takes a little bit, like we did today, like where we kind of explained the mindset of the person and, you know, some of the things that we hear, it takes that. So just going over, like, how do you respond to them? Sometimes we need a little bit more than that. So that's why we started this business, so that you can have that and the scripts and hear people role play it and decide for yourself, you know, what the best avenue is. But I think being sharp, agile, and clear and concise is so important in sales. And a lot of times we just overtalk things and we repeat ourselves many, many times if we don't have a guide. So the scripts are like a guide.
Yeah, Kelsey, Helen asked if you could go over the credit request, how they're approved or denied. I don't know if you'd rather take that offline with her or if it's a one policy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all situational. It depends on why the quote was, why the lead was submitted for credit. So if it's something like a dead number, like our team is going to go through and they're going to call that person and make sure it was a dead number. If it's not a dead number, by the time that they call, it's going to be denied because now it's live and you can use it. So it just all depends, but that's why sometimes the credits take a little bit longer too, is because our team really wants to make sure that this is not a usable lead. And also, like we said, we're monitoring where these leads come from too. So there's that whole process as well, documenting where the bad leads are coming from, etc. So like I said, it's very situational. It really depends on why you're requesting credit. And that being said, the more detail you can provide, the better. Like, be as detailed as you can, because if it's just like, I don't even know, like, didn't request a quote or something, it's like, well, okay, what did they say? Like, anything else that you can provide is definitely helpful, and it's definitely going to speed along the process.
We have that in our agency too. When someone says the phone system isn't working, exactly what's going on. If you just say it isn't working and you can't problem solve with no details, right?
Yep.
We're getting a lot of people in the Q&A saying, I can't see the chat. So you post a link. I don't think I can post it.
I think that, yeah, I don't.
In the Q&A. So I'll just share screen again super quick with the link, and we apologize for the length of it. We're going to get that
shortened today. I was like, why is that so long?
We'll get that shortened today. And then if anybody has specific questions for myself or Kristin that don't get answered on this, our email addresses are just our first name. So Jeremy and Kristin at insuranceroleplay.com if that's easier for you. But this is the link for the free trial. I'll take that down. Let's see if we have any other last questions. Will the script for today be sent out to our emails? Also, can you repeat the website for the role play guide? Yeah, it's just insuranceroleplay.com. And Kelsey, I'm happy to email the script to you. Do you normally follow up with an email or something to them, or post it on your site or something?
Yes, we will post it on our agent education site once we launch those this summer, but we will also follow up with an email as soon as I get the attendee list.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Yeah, I'll get that to you right after the show. And in fact, we'll also include the trial. Since it is so long, we'll include the link for that.
Yep. And the video, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
we can do that too.
You guys can watch it again. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Show it to your teams. Show it to your teams. I mean, Jeremy and Dustin were riveting today.
Oh man, this one's already gone viral and I haven't posted it yet.
You guys better sign that disclosure agreement. We're a little bit worried. Okay.
Yeah, and then again,
You got
just a last reminder in the Facebook group, it really has a ton of great content on it, totally free, just role play at the Olson Agency. So join, we've got an awesome community in there.
Yep, we would love to have you. So with that, we just want to say thank you for having us, Kelsey and Dustin and Jeremy. We really do appreciate it. You guys are super fun. And, you know, a lot of times with companies, personalities matter. So a company attracts the kind of like demographic that they represent. So if I were to say, you know, what Quote Wizard represents just based on your personalities, I would say charming, class, and fun. So that's what Quote Wizard represents to me just from being around you guys. So thanks for showing off your amazing personalities.
Thanks for having us.
That was
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. You provide so much value, and we definitely look forward to hosting you guys again and having more webinars in the future.
Yeah, what an awesome tool for agents, seriously.
Thanks,
Yeah, no,
guys.
we appreciate you guys.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. See you guys.
Bye.